Hi, I'm Mike Mulligan, and just gonna, a quote here. This is from Palisades, February 22nd, 2010. This is a 2.206. It failed again to do anything. Don't you wish that you had a button on your computer where it would give you a yellow, red, or green light? How are you doing now? How will the whole of energy do in a year, 2 years, or 5 years? Where will the NRC be stationed in the next decade? It is going to boggle the mind with what the NRC discovers in the next year or two at Palisades, just like the last 2 years. I say they are going to find bigger and more repetitive problems. Nothing of this is in our nation's long-term interest, making the world better. Well, the relevance of Palisades is that it shows a pattern of severe problems at Palisades, at Arkansas, at Vermont Yankee, at Pilgrim, and stuff like that, and it lends to a pattern that energy is a rogue company, and they're out of control, and the NRC can't control them. Don't I have an ability? Don't I have an ability to lend out what I want to say without? Well, if you had, I'm probably one of the most skilled guys at doing failing on these 2.206s, and if you had any knowledge of me and stuff like that, I generally wrap it up in the right time frame and stuff like that. So, I've done this over and over again, and to say that, I'm treated like I'm going to go rogue and, So you get what I'm saying. I'm saying that history teaches us unimaginable things are going to go on behind the security fence of Palisades, and the NRC misses the really important stuff. Better, the NRC doesn't have the power to make energy meet the greater ends of us all. And so, I was trying to get the NRC to engage with the energy and change their behavior. This problem seems to jump into one plant and jump into another, then jump into another. They must send a lot of personnel or expertise over to the troubled plant, and then another plant gets ignored, and that type of thing, which I'm worried about. And so here, I'm trying to lay that out. Just give me a second here. So let's talk about the timeline. January 1st, the well-known electric shortage was developing on the New England grid. April-May 2011, new SRV valves installed. December 26, 2011, Pilgrim plant had its first leak shut down had its first leak. It was shut down for a 3-day shutdown. November 27, 2012. November 27th. I got that mixed up. But anyways, New England ISO says the grid crisis over natural gas has begun. We have a shortage of electricity. January 20th, 2003, second leak requires shutdown and another 3-day shutdown. It requires plant shutdown and another 3-day outage. January 21st, 2001. New England ISO asserts grid emergency, near mandatory rolling blackouts and really cold weather. January 24th, 2013, New England ISO says natural gas shortage began in earnest with 300 megawatt electricity. January 2013 peak. Well, on the timeline, it basically says, you look at this thing, and the NRC has the inability to control energy, and the Pilgrim plant and Arkansas nuclear plant and stuff like that. And then you see that the New England grid itself, the New England ISO, is mired in some sort of political game, and they have the inability to anticipate problems and set the grid up set the grid up to be reliable. This whole thing should have been taken care of a couple of years ago, and they should have manipulated their components and system around, and so there was never ever a threat of a shortage of electricity. And then you see this, you got a blizzard coming up and stuff like that, and then you see that the plant trips during the blizzard and that type of thing, and it's just mind-boggling that we don't have a reliable grid system, and that's what this New England business ask us. How does it relate to? Because everything is connected. Everything is connected. Whether it's the grid is reliable, and that asks us. If the grid isn't reliable, will we have an issue where we won't be able to provide electricity in an emergency to a plant like Pilgrim plant, and that type of thing? And then you got you go down that timeline and stuff like that. It's mind-boggling why we would even have a plant trip in a blizzard like that. When you get down to think about it, you have the grid lines were fluctuating in and out and all that sort of stuff. And I'll talk about they had many issues of the plant trips and so-called severe weather and all that sort of stuff. And so it's a repetitive pattern of not having the grid prepared for the climate. So we had a plant trip, right? Then we had a plant trip. We had a loop, one of the most consequential accidents you can have at a plant without a meltdown. It really threatens everybody. It's very unsafe. Actually, we had two loops. And then according to the New England ISO and all that sort of stuff, during all of this SRV business and stuff like that, the grid itself was threatened repetitively with shortages of electricity and high spiking electricity. It's mind-boggling that you set up a grid like this that's supposed to support a nuclear power plant in an emergency, and then all these things intertwine together, where you end up in pretty serious trouble. And then you have SRVs over numerous incidences indicate leakage and that type of stuff. And so I just want everybody to understand the system behind this. It's not just a broken relief valve, it's a broken set of regulators that creates this situation. And instead of seeing it in a rules-based type of situation that's primitive at best, it's better to think of this as holistically. How does the political system control the New England ISO to create a stable grid, and how does the NRC control control the reliability of the Pilgrim station? Let's just give me a second here. So talks about during the grid, you know, a different two loops. The plant was without electricity for a couple of days, more or less, I think, like that, and talks about a it talks about a it talks about a tap on the main transformer that is that causes a short and stuff, and now my computer's not working. I can't pull up this LER. And there's another LER in 2008, essentially has the same issue. Well, it's on a startup transformer, and Energy basically promises that ice was falling off the main transformer, and another resistor or something like that. You know, the lines weren't qualified for the grid, or qualified for the weather, and stuff like that. And they promised to look into that thoroughly, and then the same thing happens during a plant trip with the SRVs and stuff like that. And then we find out that you know, they really didn't. You know, that 2000 LER promises that they were going to find that they were going to make the grid more their transmission system and their switchyard system more reliable, and they're going to look into all these ice falling things and causing shorts and stuff like that. And of course, then we have then we had the loop over on ice that showed the thing. So we have issues with the SRVs. We have inappropriate operation of the plant when the blizzard was approaching, and closing a lot of the, causing surges in the lines to and from the plant. I'm surprised. I don't even know if Energy had any kind of meeting before the blizzard and talking about all the other past events where they had severe weather, and it caused a plant trip. They have, in this LER in 2008 with the ice trip, they identify 4 or 5 other severe weather trips and stuff. In this thing, it says it talks about severe weather, severe winter blizzard, and then you start looking up the weather reports, and it was just a regular snowstorm. So how does, you know, honesty and ethics, how does Energy get away with mischaracterizing the weather conditions in their interests? You know, like it's a severe blizzard out of our ability to control and stuff like that. Again, this blizzard, that Nemo business and stuff like that. That was only the 5th worst blizzard we ever had. So that questions, you know, is the grid reliable enough to support the plant? Why is the Pilgrim plant having all these plant trips during severe weather? How come? How you know, this shouldn't have happened according to 208 if in 2008 if they if they did what they said they were going to do and repair and inspect the plant and never let ice trip that plant again. And especially, it wasn't just a plant trip, it was a plant trip that then it caused another loop. You had 2 loops there and stuff like that. Again, one of the most riskful events a plant can have. It really drives the plant in a risky behavior and stuff. And so, like I said, that snowstorm was a minor, really a minor snowstorm and stuff like that, but they put it on the LER as a severe storm, severe winter blizzard. So it questions their truthfulness as far as being able to, and it questions whether Energy can figure out how to keep that plant from tripping during blizzards, and especially during the reliability of that plant, whether it's weather related, either blizzards or other storms and stuff like that. How come they can't? It's easy engineering to keep that plant reliable. How come they can't do that? How come they have a repetitive pattern of not keeping that plant in a condition where the normal weather, or maybe a moderate or a minor blizzard, how come they can't keep that plant reliable? And that kind of, if Pilgrim is unreliable and stuff like that, it gives everybody an excuse to jack up electric rates and stuff like that. And everybody plays around as I said, I think the New England ISO is a corrupt organization. I think we're right there with Enron and the California tobacco as far as our electric prices, and here we got a miracle of natural gas fracking driving the prices down across the board throughout the country. And here we got they got us in a bottleneck with natural gas, and the regulatory people can't, between themselves, can't figure out what's best for the United States and what's best for New England, and that type of thing. And so that's what so it's all, this all fits together, a plant in trouble, and I'm not, this is, you're throwing me off. This is what really is happening here. You're throwing me off. No, wait, listen to me. Would you listen to me? I have been doing this over and over again, and they let me usually say my piece and stuff like that, and this is different. What's going on here is different than it ever has been going on in the past. Now, if you would have called me and explained to me how you're going to be different, I wouldn't. Well, if you knew anything about how I've interacted in the past over numerous times and stuff like that, and talked to your buddies, you would have understood. We have a pattern here. We've always had a pattern of, you let me talk, and you don't disrupt me, and actually, I think this is part of a cover-up. The NRC is trying to disrupt me and not let me get my say out of here and stuff like that, and unnerve me. And it's radically different than how the NRC during a 2.206 ever treated me in the past, in the last 5 years. So I don't know what's going on as far as why all this disruption and interruption and all this sort of stuff are you done. Nobody's ever done that to me in the past. So this is radically different than how the NRC has ever treated me. So, anyways, a problem. So it's you had you had 2 shutdowns, right? Then just before the Nemo snowstorm, the plant had been restricted to 80% power. Then you went into the Nemo snowstorm, and the plant tripped. You started back up after, I don't know, a week or so like that. Within another couple of weeks, another leak developed. Within another couple, so you restricted to 90% power. Then after another leak like that, until recently, I think March 30th and stuff like that, you went down to 84% power. So, and there's been there's been no discussion of why those are leaking. What was leaking post Nemo. There's been no LER on the second shutdown and stuff like that. So this is all a cover-up. This is all a cover-up to get the plant into an outage, to get the plant out of a severe grid crisis. We're not having a lot of electricity, enough electricity to support New England and stuff like that. So, you know, how come the plant is so unreliable? How come the plant, one of the most one of the largest grid crises we've had in recent memory? How come this SRV business has been churning out here with 2 plant shutdowns and an assortment of secret leaks with SRVs? And then how come this behavior of harassing me in the 2.206 process and stuff like that? What is? How come we can't get to the root of this? How come people can't discuss things honestly and just talk about it and lay out what they think is the problem going on here? And why does the NRC have to be so militaristic with me as far as disrupting me and all that sort of stuff? You know, this is just a pattern of a cover-up. And like I've been saying, whether it's if the NRC was listening to me since as I was discussing back in Palisades times and Vermont Yankee and stuff, we wouldn't have this problem. If you would have been listening to me, we wouldn't have had this problem with the death at Arkansas 1 and stuff. You wouldn't have lost 2 plants. They're struggling to get another plant up. You don't know what the nature of the damage with the turbine building of the stator that fell off a crane and that type of stuff. And so, you know, it seems like I'm trying to. I'd laid out a nice story here for the minutes that I had, if I wasn't been disrupted so much, militaristically disrupted. And like I said, you know, as far as you know, as far as the NRC talking with me in the last about I called up the resident inspector. I called up the NRC inspector. I mean, the PR guy. You know, you'd think that you know, you guys would want to talk to somebody like me who has a little bit of experience, and we could talk about the issues and why this is happening and all that sort of stuff. But you just you know, you threw up a security shield on me, more or less. What is the nature of all this secrecy with the NRC? You had issues with one of the local groups and the NRC. They caught the NRC with the used fuel pad out there, cement pad and stuff, and the NRC was disruptive. They didn't immediately admit to that there were this pad was being constructed. What's the secrecy? Why does everybody use rules to create secrecy instead of using rules to you know, communicate and talk? How come you guys can't talk in a manner that brings confidence to the public at large and a lot of the people around the nuclear plants? How come you can't what's going on with this militaristic type of talk with the NRC and attacking people and that type of stuff? Is it, well, you don't want to get the story out that, you know, the natural gas thing and a lot of plants are threatened and there's a lot of noise underneath it that's screaming out to the NRC that we're in trouble and you have to put a floor on some of this poor performance of a lot of these plants and stuff like that, and that type of thing. Is that what's going on here? Is that the NRC wants to not get the story out of what's really going on? And I'm concerned about that. I'm just checking. Are you still on the line? Yep, I'm just checking to make sure you were still on the line. Yeah, I was wondering if. Good. Can I go on? Can I finish a little bit? We know that safety relief valves are behind 3 feet of concrete. They're one of the most dangerous components in a nuclear plant. They're behind many feet of concrete, and there's a huge radiation field. So you really don't, they're primitively instrumented up and alike and stuff. So you're just guessing. And a plant like energy usually, they guess in their direction that benefits them. They don't necessarily guess in a way that assures the public of safety. And Davis-Besse, 2 of the worst accidents in the United States came out of safety relief valves or pilot-operated relief valves. Davis-Besse had a ghost leak, essentially a leak of a pressure-operated relief valve. It was going into a tank, and it was leaking. The plant was leaking for years in a host of other areas and stuff like that, and then it was leaking into this tank, and they did a whole bunch of stuff. Actually, they finally got the leak stopped, but when Davis-Besse, the leak began, a so-called ghost leak appeared. In other words, they kept saying, and using the rationale that, it might be that pilot-operated relief valve leaking again. We have a history of that valve leaking in the containment, and that's what's causing our problems and stuff. And so, but it wasn't leaking, and they kept using that excuse till they shut down and somebody stumbled across the broken relief valve. In Davis-Besse, they had again. TMI, they had issues with maintenance of their relief valves and poor operation. They had a caution tag not operate the valve, and then the event happened, and they got confused. The tag they got confused on the indication. They had poor training and stuff like that. And this relief was implicated in the reason why, among other things, why the plant melted down. So you had 2 accidents that essentially revolves around a lot about relief valves. These relief valves in PWRs, and of course, and they're implicated in all our bad accidents. Really, they really didn't cause the meltdown. There was a lot of other things involved in it. But it created the justification to not take the safe way out and just shut the plant down and fix the problems and all that sort of stuff. So I'm just laying out the case that safety relief valves are nothing to be playing around about, nothing to be playing with. They should be, if they show indications of it being indications of leakage. They should have the burden to have that valve in a condition where no leaks are tolerated during operation and stuff. There should be reliable valves, and here they are, new valves, brand new valves, and stuff. And of course, the first LER, the LER and the LER update basically says we find no problems with the SRV valve. They had the Southern company, they had Energy, and who was the other company? They had a host of people looking over this valve, over the new SRV valve, saying that nothing is wrong with the first leak of the new SRVs. And then they had, like I said, another shutdown. Then they had another big leak. They shut down. Within a week or two, they started up some other valve leak. Then they had then you had the 80% down to 80%, and I mean to 90%, and then it went down to power restriction of 80%. And so you sit here and say, why? Who chose these unreliable valves? How did these valves become so unreliable? And like I'm saying with Arkansas Nuclear, you know, all their troubles. You know, that 600 ton stator was more than that stuck reactor vessel over there in Georgia. I think the reactor vessel weighed 400 tons, and this guy weighed like 600 tons. And let me tell you, Arkansas, the Arkansas plant there, the two facilities, looks like a NASCAR crash as far as incidents and stuff like that. Palisades, unbelievable set of operational problems, and also they risked human health when they're fiddling around with a open DC circuit and stuff like that without the proper safeguards and stuff like that. So Energy has a pattern of being careless over employee safety and stuff. That business with yep. How many more minutes I got? Do you know how many more minutes I have? Well, I got some notes. I'm just looking quickly through it. Oh, you know, and this storm here, Millstone had more snow than Pilgrim did. So how come they operated through a storm? I don't know what their record of plant trips on severe weather and blizzards and stuff like that. But how come Millstone was able to operate through the storm? How come Pilgrim wasn't when they had a lot less storm and stuff? So that's it. We know that another in 2003 LER, excuse me, in 2003 storm, one of the worst. The Pilgrim didn't trip. So what causes? Well, why is it tripping? Is it old and obsolete equipment? What's the nature of it? Another thing I'm going to say is I was talking to the Mass Attorney General office, and they said the problem with them is that they have no agreement really to talk with, no mandate for Energy or Pilgrim to disclose issues at the plant. I mean, a lot of it's voluntary, but there's no hardcore agreement. And I just want you to know that according to up in Vermont, there is a requirement that all events and stuff like that on a very detailed manner are reported from Vermont Yankee to the state agency in charge of nuclear power. And stuff like that. So how come, you know, it's just interesting that Massachusetts basically, the Attorney General office basically said, you know, we don't have any strict requirement or agreement for Pilgrim to report to us. It's all voluntary, and it's hit or miss as far as who to notify and all that sort of stuff, and it's not a point person like a state nuclear engineer. Do you report to the DPS, or you report to the Attorney General's office and stuff like that? And so that's a pattern of Massachusetts, you know, not setting the ground rules and concrete and defining what Pilgrim is going to report to the state. And you know, that gives the politicians a plausible deniability. Oh well, you know, Pilgrim never reported that problem to us, so you can't blame us and stuff. And so a lot of times, a situation like this, when reportability to the state is not required, and stuff like that. This is to protect the politicians and the people in other offices at DPS or whatever you call it, and the Attorney General office, because they don't have to, you can't. Pilgrim could get into a big problem, down the line here, and behind this, because of this setup, the state could say, "Oh, we never knew how bad Pilgrim was," and stuff, and that's a big problem. We had that with Vermont Yankee, and I took care of that problem by creating a situation where we created a statewide debate on, memorandum of understanding. I helped write the new memorandum of understanding as far as what can be said and what can be disclosed and stuff. And so most of the stuff at Vermont Yankee gets reported to the state engineer. And so I'm just saying the Attorney General office told me that it's not the case with Pilgrim. It's hit or miss. There's no requirement and no direct mandatory requirement that to report. Most things going on at the plant, especially off normal.
You know you have to pick Matt up 10 minutes to
Yep.
one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. They don't have any questions for me. And I just want to get one more thing. I think that from the beginning, you were the NRC. I won't get personal, but the NRC was really rude to me and disruptive because they didn't know how all the other ones went. This was off normal as far as how it was. You disrupted me, and you got me off my thought stream and stuff. And I interpreted it as being rude and disrespectful and part of a cover-up. Thank you. Thank you.